History of the Ohio State Reformatory started back in 1886. That's when the state started building this building. Levi Schofield was the architect. State hired him. He also did the Soldier Sailors Monument up in Cleveland down by the House of Blues. He, a very particular man, very specific in his building, came up with a beautiful building. It took 10 years to get to the part where we're at today. The reason it took so long was the state ran out of money at times, and at times they pulled the funding. It's cost $1.3 million back then, which is about $40 million today. And that was unheard of for a prison. So that was the beginnings of it. State opened up a reformatory. General age of the kids that came here, 14 to 28. We had them as young as 12 years old here. They were all convicted of some type of crime. We had 155,000 inmates come through here that we are aware of over about 94 years. It closed December 31st, 1990. That means we had a lot of short sentences early on. By 1970, we are a maximum security prison. Sentences started getting much longer, life sentences, things of that nature. And so there was a big transition. Now, though we were a reformatory, by the 30s we were getting a hardened inmate because the state pen in Columbus had a massive fire, knocked out a cell block. We got about 300 of their inmates. And so by name we're a reformatory, but now we're housing reformatory people as well as non-reformatory reformatory type inmates. And now you're trying to keep them separated from each other, which became a juggling act. But the laws were changing, the prison systems were changing, and though we were a reformatory by name, how it was working was changing. For instance, when you first came, you had to go to chapel, you had to learn a trade, you had to go to school. That was by law, that was mandated for here. Laws would change. You can no longer make them go to school. You can no longer make an inmate work. You can no longer make an inmate go to chapel. And so the system that was once working like a very fine-tuned machine had all the pieces still in place, but the gears were missing teeth, so it was starting to grind. And that's one of the reasons we become a maximum security prison by 1970. Now, by 1970, many lawsuits had already started coming. I believe the lawsuit that shut it down was between 1974 and 1977. That was the final one where the state agreed, we are going to shut this prison down. Now, they wanted it shut down quickly. It took to December 31st, 1990 to actually shut it down. This whole bottom floor that we're in is called West Administration. We were deemed the official corrections museum by the state of Ohio through the governor's office a couple of years ago. By June 1st, that is our goal, this bottom floor will be open. The room we're in right now is a unique room, not because it's any different than any other, but the way we're setting it up. You can see the brick behind me, the equipment behind me that we're using, the scaffolding. Around the rest of the prison, you see a finished product, like you would see at a house, your schools, anywhere else. The walls look complete, finished, drywalled, whatever it is. This is what's behind. This is thrilling for us. This is what's behind the skim coating and the painting. This is the real building. This we wanted to open up so people could see what we have to work with when we have to restore a building. The original floor, we're going to have to give it another sanding, and we're going to polyurethane it, three coats to bring out the natural colors. Yeah, we everything you see wood-wise right now, that's original wood from the 1800s when this opened. That has been scraped by hand to get the original varnishes off. It's then been sanded by hand. Then it's been restained and polyurethane clear-coated to bring back its colors again. We're getting ready to put up the picture rail again. Now, normally there was no gap. That's where all that drywall that we would call, they would have had a what they called plaster back then, almost a rock mixture on there. We're putting it all back on little by little so people could see what it would have looked like the room behind us. And so we're thrilled with this restoration. But if you go anywhere else, you're not going to see this. You're going to see the finished product with the crown molding and all the picture railings up. But in here, the ceiling has the arched brick with the I-beam, arched brick with the I-beam. There's layers of arched brick, then cement, and then whatever floor. It's exciting to see what's really there for us. This is the stuff that gets the restoration team excited, maintenance team excited, because people are going to be able to see the nuts and bolts of this prison. If you ask some of our staff and some of our volunteers, they'll say, drop of a hat, yes, it's haunted. I never say that because how do I prove it? I always say, look, things happen around here. And if they happen to you, you have to decide what you believe. And so I'm going to tell you some of the things that have happened to me, because I've had witness to these. It's not just me saying it. If a brick falls from the ceiling right now, that would bother us. But we would recognize gravity is bringing a brick down. Who cares? It would give us a start to the heart and we'd be done with it. Now, if my glove that's sitting over there just suddenly flew across the room, you recognize there's nothing over there. It's breaking every law of gravity to fly across the room. That type of thing's happened to me 3 times that I can think of right now, where there's been witnesses. One's been a brick, one's been a coin, another one was a fairly large pebble, stone, whatever you want to call. All with witnesses. And we all look at that and go, that's paranormal. Mm-hmm. Nothing was there that we could see. So you can't say it was a ghost. All you can say is that was something that was outside the normal, extra normal, paranormal, great definition. On the other hand, what do you do when you see a full-blown apparition dressed in period clothes like a guard walk right by you and you can see through them? Now you've got to look at that and say, all right, that is really not normal. Mm-hmm. Was it a ghost? Could be. It was certainly paranormal. I tend to use the word spirits. We can be walking through the cell block. We often have our name tags on when we're doing tours, something of that nature. And you'll hear your name called out of a cell. You stop, check it out, there's no one in the area. That's not uncommon. You might get touched. Sometimes someone might get scratched. Not uncommon. People record, and the digital recorders, but sometimes on a video, and these voices come out of nowhere that are answering questions that has been asked, and it's none of our voices. And it can't be a bleed through from a trucker because they're answering our questions that has not put over the air. You'll get things like that. We have the shadow men, which looks just like us except for it's a dark figure. You can't make out facial features, anything of that nature. It would look like a dark figure walking somewhere. Sometimes they're so solid you can't see through it. Other times you can see through it. In years past we've had them as a white figure as well. That's some of the things that go on. People will come in, do the hunts, and bring all kinds of equipment, and sometimes they get some wonderful things. Sometimes they walk out of here, it's just been a long night, they didn't get anything. It's not like we can turn this on and off. Sometimes people have walked out of here saying, man, I didn't get anything, and they went home and checked the recorder and got some answers to questions that just were direct answers, blew their mind, and they were just so happy. And so that's a few things. I've been here long enough that it's pretty well run the gamut of things I've seen, things I've heard, things that have happened to me. And other people have been here for 10 years and they've never seen, heard, had anything happen to them. And I purposely will wear earbuds in, because I've got a job to do and I don't want to get distracted. And so I'll purposely wear an earbud in and listen to some type of music or something so I don't have to hear it. That means if they want to get my attention, they've got to get drastic, throw something, poke me. Every once in a while that'll happen, but it's not as often. They know I'm trying to ignore it. I get the feeling they leave me alone a little bit.